Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another episode of 2-Bit Talks. And today I want to talk about something that I've been kind of sitting on and thinking about for the past week. And that is the current state, I guess you could say, of the quote-unquote console wars. I don't know exactly what I'm going to title this video, but I have a lot to say on this. So I'm getting so tired of the gaming zeitgeist that has been going on for a while, because it has no sense of, I think, where things actually are. And the main problem I have is, of course, let's just say people talk about console wars. That bullshit. Is it really a war when all three of the console manufacturers are doing well? Maybe they're not doing well in the same areas, but all of them are doing well in certain sections and being very successful and turning profits and growing. Is it really a console war when everyone's winning? Maybe they're not winning at the same thing, but they're all winning. What I mean by that, look at Nintendo with the Switch. The thing is, right now, if it keeps doing what it's been doing, fastest selling console of all time, it's definitely, I believe it already took the title of fastest selling console in the US. Let me look that up real quick. Yes, it has become, well, correct me, it's the best selling, the Nintendo Switch is the best selling console in US history, and it did it in its first year. So they're going strong. Of course, their titles are going strong. One thing you can say about the Switch that you can't say about, say, the PlayStation is the Switch is, like, when they release a game, like, take your Mario Odyssey, for instance, or your Zelda Breath of the Wild, they're reaching about 50 to 60% of their user base that own the system are going out and buying the game. You can't say the same thing for the PS4. Let's take Uncharted 4, for instance. I can't remember the exact numbers, but when Uncharted 4 came out, Sony was like, what, in the 50 million, almost 60 million unit mark? And Uncharted 4 sold, at that time, now it probably sold more since then, but if I remember correctly, they sold like, was it 7-8 million units? Now, granted, that's a success. That's a successful game. It's a great game. It's deserving of that. But when you look at the bigger picture, their conversion rate is shit. 8 million units out of, what was that, 50, 60 million PS4s out on the market? And then you look at the Switch, and the Switch, of course, much smaller install base, but still, it's like they'll have like 10 million units out there in households. Mario Odyssey comes out, and at least 5 to 6 million of that 10 million go out and buy the game. So Nintendo, killing it. Absolutely killing it. Microsoft is doing good too. I hate this thought that somehow the Xbox One is one of the worst systems ever. Why is that out there in the zeitgeist of gaming? That's still out there. People still believe, they talk about the Xbox One like they talked about the Wii U. What the hell? Okay, I don't have the exact numbers on me, but I've checked VG charts, and last they had it was, they speculate Microsoft sitting at about 37 some odd million units. Okay, let's put some perspective on that. They like to compare it with the PS4. Okay, the PS4 is at about, what, 77 million units? They're almost at the 80 million unit mark. The PS4, I think, is going to at least match the PS3, if not surpass it in sales by the end of it. And they combine it with, of course, the PS4 Pro and the PS4 and the PS4 Slim. It's all just one, so it's not just like the original PS4 is the only thing selling. I think this includes the Pro and the Switch. I was about to say Switch. The Pro and the Slim. Anyway, okay, so you got that. So there's nearly double, there is double the amount. Sorry, there is, in fact, double the amount of PS4s out there than there are Xbox Ones. Let's fast forward to Xbox first generation when they first came out. They were sitting at about, what was it, 27 million units sold? And Sony PS2 was at 155 million units sold. That's a much bigger gap, and people don't think of the original Xbox as a failure, do you? You see what's bothering me here? I feel like there is a lack of historical perspective when it comes to consoles, and I think there is a lack of, well, there's just in general a lack of perspective. I don't view the Xbox One is definitely a console that's had its problems. They've turned it around. They've done a 360, like their console, their successful one. So while I wouldn't say they're as successful as their last console, they're definitely not, they're not in Wii U territory, guys. They're not in a failure territory. They're in a salvage operation. I think this whole generation for Xbox is just one big salvage. Right out of the gate, they screwed up. And I think that's one of the reasons why Sony, with the PS4, sold so well at the beginning of the generation. It had nothing to do with the PS4. If you really want to get down to it, the PS4 was just a basic console. And they were lucky that Microsoft bungled their launch so badly. If Microsoft hadn't screwed up, we wouldn't be talking about the PS4 being this juggernaut that it is right now. So it's not really on the merits of the PS4's, that console. I think it's people were just so disgusted, me included. I was planning on buying a PS4 when they launched. And of course, me being me, I don't buy a console usually when it launches unless it's a Nintendo console. So I waited, I think, a year and a half, and by that time, Halo 5 was on the horizon, Dead Rising 3, there was Sunset Overdrive, there was all these games that were exclusive to the Xbox One, and that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to that. Also, all that, the Kinect was gone, they got rid of that, that you're able to share your games and buy used games and all of that. So all the stuff that had turned me off of Xbox was gone. So that's why I went, bought an Xbox One first. Getting back on track here, they were able to turn the ship around. And while, yes, they are nowhere near Sony, they're not going to catch up with Sony. This whole generation is a salvage operation, making good on the expectations and promises you've given your user, the people who bought your product, but also trying to win back the people you lost. And if not, also just trying to do positive things, put a good shine to your brand. So the next generation, when the PS5 and whatever Xbox decides to call their next system comes out, you will have at least repaired a lot of the damage that Don Matrick did at the launch of the Xbox One. I really wish the gaming community would lay off of this whole, they treat the Xbox One, again, like I said, like it's the Wii U. And I love the Wii U. The Wii U is an awesome console, but yeah, that console did not do well at all, where at least the Xbox One, I can say, has done moderately well. It's nowhere near the original Xbox sales figures. The original Xbox actually was probably their worst performing one. It's also, honestly, not anywhere near how the 360 did. We're probably going to look at the Xbox One, and I think Sony's going to fall somewhere between, I believe, with the PS4, they're going to fall somewhere between 86 million and probably 90 some odd million units sold. I really don't see them cracking 100 million. I could be wrong though. Maybe they'll crack 100 million. I think the PS4, from what I've seen, they've kind of plateaued in sales numbers. They're no longer doing those big jumps that they used to. And I think Xbox, again, is also plateauing. And I think Xbox is probably going to fall in the 50 to 60 million unit mark. I think Xbox is still going to be way behind the PS4 as far as hardware sales go. Now, again, that doesn't matter because Microsoft is making a shit ton of money off of their software, off of Xbox Live. They have the Xbox Game Pass. They're investing in the actual people who use their product, and they're making the experience richer and better for them, and they're getting those people to buy a lot of stuff. That's something you don't really see on the other platforms. I mean, yes, they sell software on the other platforms, but Xbox Live is head and shoulders, in my opinion, the best online service, period. But like I said, they've really invested in those services, and viewing games as a service, and that's really paying off for them, and that's honestly probably the future of gaming. So they're investing in that, where I think PlayStation played it safe this generation, coming off of what happened with the PS3, and they're just kind of doing, hey, this is what the 360 did that was very successful, let's follow a similar path like that, and that's what they're doing. So back to the earlier part of the video, all three of these companies are successful in their own way. So why is the weird video game zeitgeist, it's this weird thing where they're like, oh, the Switch is doing pretty well. Oh, I don't know. I don't think Xbox is making another console, even though Phil Spencer said he's gonna make another one. They're out of here. They're done. They're gone. And then it's like Sony, they're on fire. They're doing great. And I actually don't see that. I see all three of them doing really well. The one I'm worried about more is actually Sony, because Sony as a company isn't doing that well. PlayStation is the only thing that sells for them. So, yeah, that's doing well, but what happens when they have a misstep? Because they're going to have another misstep. That's just how things happen. The industry is cyclical. Any industry is. You have your ups and your down periods. What happens to Sony when they go through another down period? Can they weather it? That's my big question there with Sony. So, we'll see what happens with that, but for right now, the PS4 is doing great. I kind of rambled there. Sorry about that, but it just really bothered me. There is no, currently, in my opinion, no console war. I mean, sure, does Microsoft probably wish that they could, be in the spot Sony is in? Yeah, I'm sure they do. But to sit there and say that they're a failure, to sit there and say, oh, they're way behind, oh god, they're never coming back, it's just dead wrong. It's just like, they're sitting there and they're doing good business. I have my complaints about certain things. Their exclusive lineup these past couple of years has been shit, and they need to work on that. But then again, guess what? No one accused Sony a couple of years ago when the only damn exclusive they really had that was worth note was Bloodborne, and that was like the only big one. And then they just had a bunch of merchandising. They had a bunch of advertising, deals with Activision. So it's like, a bunch of PS4 Destiny commercials. They had the indie titles locked down, so they had some strengths, but by no means were they an exclusive heavy console. Microsoft came out of the gate with a bunch of exclusives at the beginning of the generation. They've run dry the past couple of years, and now Sony is cranking out the exclusives that they've been working on. I think it's unfair to sit there and give Sony a pass a couple of years ago and say, oh, well, the PS4 is more powerful than the Xbox One, so it's the most powerful console. Who cares that, it doesn't have a whole lot of exclusives? I'm going to be able to play Call of Duty and Destiny, the best on there. But now it's the Xbox One is the most powerful console. Some reason it's all about exclusives. That's my problem. When the zeitgeist of the gaming community gets on a certain wavelength and a certain narrative, it takes a long time to get them off of it. It takes another generation of games, it takes another generation of consoles to get them off of that mindset. And that's what bothers me, is that I don't think the Xbox is a failure. I think they're actually being successful. Probably not in the ways they wanted to be, but they've at least found successes, and they've found some positive things. Sony has done a 360 from the PS3 days, and they're doing phenomenal things, and that's awesome. And of course, Nintendo is just, like I said again, they're just on fire. I'm so glad, because the Wii U, I loved it, but man, Nintendo was going through some lean times a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, and now with the Switch, they are just, they can do no wrong for now until they do wrong. Anyway, guys, that's my little rant of the day. Sound off in the comment section. I would really like to get everyone else's opinions on this stuff. Of course, remember to like the video, share that video out so everyone else can get in on this video, get in on the conversation, and kind of discuss this stuff. As always, if you haven't, be sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you can, and also hit that little bell next to the subscription button. That way you get notifications that, a video has been posted, and you can get notified and watch all this awesome content right when it gets posted. Anyway, guys, that's all for today. I know I ranted, apologize, but yeah, that's all I have for today. Be sure to stay safe, and of course, play on. See you later.